middle finger up. I'm done being your slave.
So, there were these people online. You know, there's actually people online. You're not talking to, you know, yourself. Wow. Some people don't know that, but not me. I'm a genius. Anyway, these people, they were very nasty to me. One of them said something about me having nothing to lose. Now, if you're aware of certain things, can you really believe that? I mean, this sort of people to whom I refer, they took, let's see, everything away from me back around 2012, and here they are in the present, complaining that, gee whiz, I just might be a loose cannon cop with nothing to lose. Wait, don't they not play by the rules? Yes, well, sometimes they just do new things, and also both things, so you know. I haven't actually watched the Lackadaisy film. What can I say? I'm just real good at sensing Homestuck and fan involvement, since Fablepaint, the director of this thing, is a Homestuck fan. Wow! It's just amazing how they slime in like slime, like a fungus, like a little mold, to take advantage of spaces in the artistic communities that not so long ago did not actually exist. Gee whiz, I wonder why. Remember when indie animation was in a quite dire situation? All of a sudden, oh man, look at this surge of opportunity. Wow, you can really build a career from webcomics. That's what they say. What's the difference? This happened twice. Back around 2012. Now, here around 23. That's amazing. That's amazing. I wonder what's special about these two time periods. Wow. Furthermore, before I continue on to the email, I would just like to say that Homestuck fans started to pretend like a certain human being does not exist. This human being is my friend, my best friend, forever's, and it's quite amazing. Oh yes, it seems they're not entirely ignorant of her, as they appear to be intentionally. It turns out they found themselves a substitute, another nice girl with a lot of creative potential. You could really see some projects running away upon her, energy. In fact, back around town, yes, yeah. Just becoming a little bit too doggy. I just want to show the furries there are superior beings in the world. Superior beings who are cool instead of gross. Anyway, here's the email. Isn't that nice? We have a smog GIF here. And this represents, dragon mode. Dragon mode is nice. It's when I turn into a big flying cannon and blow things up. It feels real good to see all the creative potential and opportunity people are enjoying get blown up under my Carl Sagan style invisible dragon. Oh yes. Where's the Carl Sagan? Yeah, that's it. You gotta remember the atheist stuff. So anyway, wow, you really gotta believe that. Playing some Pokemon Go. Here is my other turtle Sona. So, being a Homestuck fan is a crime. It's not something anybody should do. You should absolutely not be making any creative projects as a Homestuck fan. You will do bad stuff. It's your nature now. So, yes, here we have here. I already sensed big Homestuck energy from this animation Lackadaisy project. Yes, my feelings are very accurate. They're like they're like radar. They're a homing system. They can tell things, and I found out what they are later. I knew I had the energy of a new project trying to exploit myself. The sort of thing that I was expecting. Because I can't expect anything else until I break the culture of contemporary comics and cartoons completely. So yeah. And now through your later of your project, I have the killer evidence. Yeah. Yeah, Homestuck fans shouldn't even be involved with things, let alone being leaders. First of all, let me tell you about Homestuck. In the past few days, Homestuck fans as well as anonymous harassment made me so uncomfortable that I messaged former members of the Homestuck team for the first time in years. Yeah. I could tell when Homestuck people are up to something, making some announcements. It's my spidey sense. I could just feel it. And so, something unusual happens, like discussing the Equius character. Yes, the equine. The horse character, the horseman. Oh, yes. What a little story that is to tell. Yeah, the horseman story is just one of those reasons why Homestuck fans just say nothing at all when I confront them time and time and time again. Time again. Just minutes ago, when I wrote that, I found out there was a status update for a new Homestuck project 5 days ago that explains that it is a community built to hate myself. That's right, they've got one line to say when I confront them, which is, "I don't care." Wow, what a line. A real Marvel quip. Wow. That would make a dog mad. No, Fable blocking me. It's a big dishonor when, members of an art community just go around sabotaging, the interaction. Fable must have gotten real mad about some tweet, real frustrated, and what's the explanation for this feeling? What's the explanation for the sudden animosity? Oh yeah, being a Homestuck fan, that's it. Don't need to even realize a thing. Cultivating a community hostile to me. Yeah. When I was a teenager, this was the one webcomic that I was truly enjoying. And yet, for a community, it's truly interesting. For a community to be so hostile. And what exactly is the dispute? I really was right as a teenager. I was going to get anything from sort of supporting anything going on besides being expected to be as lame as everybody else involved. So, yeah. It's truly incredible. And of course, amongst all this hostility, I identified a lot of furry psychology. I studied it to help me make my conclusions that I am presenting in the associated article, as well as, in other places, like this video. Because, oh Lord. First of all, I want to give you an example of a primal interaction. Here it is on Vivzy's page. She knows that she can get in trouble for being associated with this sort of artistic legacy I was working within as a teenager. And so she retweets this clunky John K. segment of The Simpsons. I mean, if you have half a brain, you know that this isn't actually much of a comeback. You don't need to worry about deadlines when you draw like The Simpsons. You can have thousands of episodes per year of the same quality, no problem. Meanwhile, where is Has Been Hotel? Apparently they're releasing information, but it's been a long time. She's literally being a total hypocrite, which is very common lately. She must be in a delicate situation in order to, open up to an obvious criticism. Where's Has Been Hotel? If she's doing that, she's probably trying to avoid a worse criticism. Like her association with, myself. Chimkin, I'm chickening, chickening. Oh, look at all these little chicks. Chick. Oh, they're so tasty and moist. Got a whole longhouse going on with indie animation these days, which of course the Springtrapped episode said a lot about. Just trying to control with those feminine social methods. And, well, isn't that interesting? They actually managed to have some artistic quality at the same time. But which dude is this associated with? Which dude? Is there a dude this is associated with? A dude who was around, perhaps? Building community and setting up things for creative projects, mayhaps? If you notice that I'm different, it's because there's a big thing for me and AI. So, I've moved on from the suffering of an associate with my best friend who worked on Homestuck, who people like Fable like to pretend like is just not there. But there. Anyway. So, I was very supportive of these women. I was supportive of Has Been Hotel, that hell of a boss, but of course this was conditional because I'm a Catholic. You're not going to run away with the inspiration of a Catholic for LGBTQ media. Honestly, I'm a very openly, based guy. When people ask, who are my favorite LGBTQ characters, I say, tormented souls and depictions of hell. And so, people should have really been tipped off that there was something up with me and Has Been Hotel and hell of a boss. I think they did sense something, but they chose the stupid option of, getting resentful and nasty and with their longhouse methods making communities a even worse place for me. Wasn't a good move. This whole Spear of St. Michael thing and other things. So, receiving nasty and psychosexually abusive messages in 4chan threads for this show. This all goes back to Homestuck, the Aqueous character. My best friend's favorite character, and really like this character. And, see, this character is executed with his fetish. And the genesis of this sort of bizarre idea is what I was doing for identities, because identities are associated with certain adult faculties which are individual in nature. certain faculties. Like, for example, my family name means raw, and so my adult faculties, my individual adult faculties, they have to do with rawness. People whined at me as a teenager for my conduct. But wait, what was my conduct? It was raw. So, I was inspiring ideas in bad people like Andrew Hussey. Whoa, this dude has a strong identity. So what can I do to undermine this strong identity? What can I do to act against this strong identity? And if you're a big satanic pervert, you can land on, the sexual stuff to try to gain power. In fact, that sort of thing is where we got a lot of this LGBTQ stuff in the first place, simply subverting what God's providence intended, you know? So anyway, this character was executed, and later, in this big convoluted story, this character also became a part of the villain, Lord English. And in the big ending, cinematics, one of them has the Lord English character being hanged. So there was this whole masochistic thing that was vilified for this webcomic. And it was disgusting. Like, now, back around 2012, I was working on a video game series. And this video game series involves demolition physics. And if you've read my latest articles, I know people are afraid of them. There's all these creatures, and I refer to these creatures as my children. And in this video game series, the robot ones with the red and blue eyes and stuff, you blow them apart with demolition physics. And so, it's not a masochism fetish, it's destroying destructible monsters and robots. Which is actually part of the Equius character because, he fights robots. That's where Andrew is putting together these ideas. A lot of things like this in the whole garbage fire, So, what it was about was my affinity for, monsters. And monsters get, blown up and stuff. At least with the robots or something. Yeah. And there's other things too. Like the horrible torment. Yeah. But I'm not going to explain it all. No, so sweet. So. And furthermore, the whole furries, as I explained in my article, furries can have a very nasty, fetishistic way of relating to others. Very gross. Chicken. Look here. We have some priorities around. Of course, they've got their LGBTQ stuff going on. And what does that involve? Their genders, their sexualities, their fetishes being displayed and inflicted upon outsiders, as is the main point of them. While they try to maintain, this is 6 days ago after all, their comfortable delusions that they have a community. They do not have a community. They have an attempted power structure made up of people advancing their careers and giving up many aspects of humanity for the sake of this. These various screenshots are written by Tracy Butler, and there is no identifiable personality of her. It could have been written by anybody. No wonder her webcomic updates have gotten so slow, as after all, she has to give up on her individuality, on her personality, to maintain this community, which does its best to take advantage of, essentially, Tracy Butler of the past. No cartoon or fandom is worth the sacrifice of your mental and emotional well-being. Well then, I guess I'll be toppling this cartoon and fandom, since they take aim at exactly those things. And dragon mode, the concept of dragon mode involves, usually the dragon values a girl. The dragon is focused on one. And in this instance, I will be focused on helping Tracy Butler of the past. Of course, I don't have to care about time if I really don't want to care about it. And so, as I take aim at the fortunes of this project, technically, Tracy Butler of the present will be having some hits to the old bank account and social connections and community and whatnot. I'm sure nobody's ever experienced that before in history. And it's just not only the monstrous thing to do, it's the correct thing to do. I was just listening to Take It Off by Keisha. It just gets me to this mood. You see. I just wanted to have some friends. I just wanted to have some friends. I just wanted to have a community. I just want to have a normal life. I just wanted to have a normal life. You see? Now I was just having a little fun time. But then there was these Homestuck people. And these were all these Tumblr memes, Like the one about holding up two fingers and it could be a 5 or something. You know that one? How about the Skeleton War? Skeleton War is a whole can of skeletons. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I just love chasing down each and every sign of activity. In Lackadaisy, in Hell of a Boss, in Husband Hotel, in this new Homestuck project, in all these animation students doing whatever, in, the confinement thing, in, it's hard for me to remember things. My brain, it just doesn't keep memories too good. It just always keeps memories too good. I'm just a big fun clown guy. I'm just a big fun guy, I was just, you don't psychosexually abuse me. It gets me all different, and after I get just a little bit different, think about all the ways I'm gonna torture the people responsible in completely normal and legal ways. No, not actual torture, you see. I'm just gonna send some messages. I'm just gonna do some stuff on the internet. I'm just gonna make some drawings. I'm just gonna make some posts. I'm just gonna make some videos. Maybe one day I'll even have a face-to-face discussion about animation. You know? It's all gonna be okay. Aside from all those bank accounts dropping, it's all gonna be okay. And so, yeah, what you've been doing here, what you've what this team here has been doing, it all fits together as a work of a Homestuck fan with likely accomplices, but I don't know all your histories. Yeah, these people are basically parasites. If there's one cockroach, there's going to be more. You know? My message to the Homestuck team was actually about Equias. Equias, Lord English, who combines Equias. Other elements of the webcomic train the fans to sexually abuse me. It's quite a history there. I'm sure they prefer to focus on their careers and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I saw this on everything, really. Let's just say I've got a whole lot of fuel. And guess where I got it? Looking at all the sick little fantasies of Tumblr girls, all the bizarre behavior of their males, trying to work within the longhouse amongst their decaying masculinity. I got so much fuel right there. It feels so good. I feel good. Which, unwanted blocking counts as due to my unique individuality. So there's a real funny philosophy I've been seeing from industry people. Oh, well, if you feel a little uncomfortable, blocking that person is just like walking away from somebody on the street. Well, gee whiz. If I don't want to walk towards somebody on the street in real life, does that banish that person from my life forever and being involved in the proximity of my own life forever? I don't think so. So, I've got something going on, which is my imperial blockade, because you see, when I throw my truth bombs around, it changes people's minds forever. That's one of the inspirations of the whole idea, because you see a lot of demon-infested people in these sorts of communities, like with Lackadaisy. And if you let the right truth into your mind, well, that demon is, so to say, blocked forever. That's the main attraction for the demons, because they don't want to be banished with the truth. They want to banish humans with their subversion, And so, when I put a little snippet of truth in the subject lines of my emails, and that causes permanent change. And my trolls on 4chan, they crow and crow. Oh, nobody reads these. Number one, obviously they do. Number two, if you've seen the subject line, you're better off if, not necessarily you, at least some people read that email. since, I spread these messages around. Because if you don't, that little snippet of truth, it clangs. Like imagine two pieces of metal, like a ring and a ring, banging together. Bam, bam, bam. You're missing all the flesh. Bang! You're missing all the connective tissue. You're just banging bones together with no cartilage or anything. I highlight this animation, which, although, is not made by AI, it looks much like the creatures I have been creating with AI. Well, a group of them, a group of variants. Yes. That's quite interesting. And of course, since they are monsters, there's nothing wrong with making a video fighting one of these mimetic organisms. Which is what they are. They're organisms made of memes. But it is a bad thing if people are inspired, perhaps, to go after the corporate memes of the internet to attack a human being who is not actually a CEO, because my meta-organisms, they're associated with everything, including, you got Facebook, Google, etc. And so if you're dishonorably acting against, the way big companies use AI technology, eventually you train your webcomic community to attack some dude posting his webcomic, which includes, these mimetic organisms attacking abstract cities. Next, I show a design from a notable Ren and Stimpy influenced artist. This design relates to my dog creature. Here's a new moderation feedback I'm sending involving Lackadaisy. Yeah. And here's something else to highlight. First of all, the person I'm replying to is using trans grooming tactics which attack male identities. Rufus, please keep it a dream. You're not cooking anything. This is attacking his masculine aspirations. And here's more of that Equius stuff. With the Homestuck new thing and the Lackadaisy stuff, they've activated this Equius programming, and this random media consumer is acting on it. So, and yes, I'm not going to keep it to just the animation and comics community anymore. It was so nice of me to do that previously, but now I'm just going to go around like the anti-woke community and stuff. I'm sure eventually I will have discussions about my, Here is something from a notable Ren and Stimpy artist. It represents, it relates to my dog creature. As, he could be missing certain parts of his form. In fact, I haven't even shown him yet, really. But that's how he works. He has all these little ways of being present and chasing. Always chasing, you know? And what this shows is the connection, because it's showing that a Red and Stimpy, influenced artist, big fan of the show, Avatar and everything, is, ready to connect about this creature. And as I keep mentioning, I was planning a whole comic book about this creature, who is rather like the Smile Dog creepypasta, but I came up with him first. And he's cartoonier. Yeah, he's cartoonier. In a very special way. It was the sort of thing I was referring to when good cartoons. People have been enjoying some of that lately. Not the full thing, but I mean, back when pretty much the only webcomic I liked was Lackadaisy, people were defending the gamer sort of style, including works like Penny Arcade before it was inspired by Katie Rice to be more expressive. That Family Guy sort of aesthetic, which Tracy Butler critiqued before this prior personality of hers was subsumed under a generic, trans rights personality. What is unique, diminishing in favor of a state of over socialization aligned for the gains of the social nodes. So, just playing some Pokemon Go. I know Fable and the other clown crew, you're not a fan of this, me doing this. You've made that clear. Because Pokemon Go is an innocent way of engaging with the more primal parts of the human. Instead of, having bizarre, sick fetishes and interacting with people like me in bizarre, sick ways. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I was attacked at the end of my attempted teenage revolution while I was talking a lot about Squirtle, because I was finding fulfillment in just one Pokemon. I didn't even need to own any plushies for this Pokemon or anything. I just needed to enjoy him in my mind. And so I received a lot of mental assault, a lot of very obscene messages. The famous bundle of sticks word. They were saying that a lot because that's what they preferred me to be. Like your friends, Fable. Not like me, who likes to connect with others in an honest and natural way. And enjoy the fine things of life, like which Pokemon I happen to get good stats in. There's a special little meaning there. I know it's very frustrating for the worldly and, In fact, the very next Pokemon I encountered was another evolution. Bit of a segue there. I had no idea that Vaporeon was going to segue here. Now, what is this? What's the significance of this? Obviously, it's psychic connection. Not psychic as in, telekinesis. Psychic as in you and me online and others. Because we need to let the whole Fedora thing go. It was just a big scam. Of course, life is not purely materialistic. In fact, the way me and others conceive of material things is no longer as it was among the atheists back in, where Richard Dawkins was the hot thing in culture, and now he's, counterculture or whatever. So, there is there is the more immaterial things, and wow, do I have the advantage there because I built it. And frankly, even the eviler things in life could hardly even interfere with this process. Very beautiful. How else would I generate the correct ones? So where was I? Ah, yes. My unique individuality. Isn't that interesting? Because it's real weird to remember all those precious Tumblr posts. I mean, I don't just keep talking about Homestuck for no reason. We can all just look up the webcomic anytime we want to. It's not so easy to look up, old Tumblr dashboards the way the posts used to stream and the things people would see. Even if you could drag up a few individual ones, they wouldn't be experienced the same. There was a lot of really messed up stuff, but there's beautiful stuff too. I know there's not a lot of fans of the Star Trek recent movies for the whole reboot, but when I watched these movies, there was actually something meaningful there. It wasn't as people said that, the philosophy of it was gone. Even though it was pretty different. It's not really the philosophy anymore. It's more the meaning. The meaning of these movies. It's there, and there's a lot of beauty to it. This meaning is associated with, my revolution. Yeah. So there was a nice section of the Tumblr females, and oh yes, there was also the ones doing things like talking about, certain Homestuck characters, certain TV cartoon characters, putting certain situations into their little, pornography. It's all very abstract, and I'll get to it. But let's just say that all of you people will regret ever speaking of the John K. accusations. That's just how much worse and worse and worse my story's gonna get. Man, it's gonna be all flame on. It's a Human Torch. I mean, is that me or you? My glorious cosmic destiny. Oh yes, people didn't want to sit down and actually see what my work is about because it's building towards what I will receive in heaven. My spiritual visions involve what I will receive in heaven, and those things extending back into the past to be relevant to life before the end times, And this has a utilitarian purpose. It's not just for me to mess around, but it's fun for me to mess around as a little side thing, like maybe getting very passionate about finding out what Homestuck fans are up to, the little careers they're doing. That's not something that God and his angels is going to be focused on. But if I want to focus on it, well, that's just nice for me while I'm doing other things. Interaction I've just had. This is these people acting on their equius programming hidden within the threads of woke culture. As you can see here, they're acting on this to treat me as if I am equius under a great deal of ignorance. And it's also pedophilic in nature because they are targeting, the childishness of people, because people in this world tend to not fully grow up creatively. When it comes to creative things, they're basically still babies. Even professional artists can sometimes lose all their drawing skills if they do things like draw without reference. And so, they make these symbolic interactions aimed at abusing others of their creativity, targeting certain dimensions of the human soul. And it's all very naked, you know? To me, at least. Because while you furries, Fable, have been training people to be like this, well, I've been in the hyperbaric time chamber. Yeah, I've been in the hyperbaric time chamber. Wow. I've been in the hyperbaric time chamber. That's right. Vroom, vroom. Just training from my spiritual visions, and as I explain things like furry psychology, it's just a little side thing to me. It's just a little snack, you know? It's one day snack. And so, like I've said in previous messages, this whole equus programming I'm speaking of, it's all outdated, as if I'm 24 years old instead of 32. In just some days, I'll be 33. It's going to be a special year. I'm calling it the Year of the Cat. It's going to be good. So anyway, fans and likely crew members. Yeah. First of all, members of the Hell of a Boss team were openly posting on 4chan. They were making art and stuff, and so that's one way to sniff them out. And there was a lot of overlap, you know. There's a lot of overlap. Furthermore, there's the personal nature of the interactions, and they don't try so much to pretend like they're just fans. That's the sort of tactic they used when I was a teenager. Frankly, I think it really messed them up in certain ways that I'm not going to explain. So, these crew members, I doubt they realize, you know, exactly why. I don't think they had any real idea of why they were enjoying working on this Lackadaisy project so much. But, as if a single thread unwinding a whole garment, the project lead being a Homestuck fan. Oh yes. It all comes together. And no animosity for Tracy Butler. Yeah. Just another one of those artists who have a lot of parasites clinging onto them. Parasites who could not function on their own. They could not make something like the original Lackadaisy webcomic on their own. They need people full of actual creativity, which they are not. They are weirdo furries who can draw their weirdness, their weirdo-ness, more like. Being a weirdo is much like being weird, except you're being haunted by the rings, and that's what the O on the end signifies. The ring shape, yeah. Anyway. Another interesting thing to discuss here is that I have messaged members of the LGBTQ community, and I have said to them, you have two choices. You could go I can go as hard and as fast as I can to spread my truth about, well, I know that sounds like a soy phrase, but it's my truth that I've got on hand. Spread my truth bombs about being exploited for non-binary, about how feelings were generated from my creative ideas, and so on and so forth. And how my best friend was exploited for this while I was planning a video game series instead, which relates to, all of her creative interests, all of her favorite franchises, all of them. And there's that one choice. The other choices that people discuss, that people have discussion about my best friend. And I have a very good boy. Ruff. And so, I'll simply fly around with a sword and all these little tentacles and these wings and something else that's cool, like having a bunch of crawly arm shards of stabity. Yeah. Until I get what I want. Because I'm a good boy. And that's what good boys get. And the interesting thing is that in this little situation here, it seems like I've received a response, from the community, not from individuals. I don't give a damn about individuals. They all seem the same to me. They're not like me. They're not unique. They don't have all these personality traits. They don't have all these cool things like having a dog symbiote about them. They don't have this cool cosmic setting, or even the beginning seeds of a cosmic setting, except with maybe one or two exceptions, Just like a saint said once, there are those communities by the hundreds of thousands, or is it more? And the Lord will say, here you come. One from you, one from this whole hundreds of thousands, two from you, That's some true stuff right there. So anyway, the response is all of this gloating I have received. All of this gloating because these people are reenacting the exploitation which Homestuck was built upon. The secret of Homestuck is that it was entirely about exploiting myself as well as my best friend. Nobody has ever mentioned the second part. They say, oh, I think everything plagiarizes you. They don't say anything about my best friend on the team being directly exploited by Andrew Hussey and others, like that gambling person. They don't say anything about that. They know it's too spicy for them. But now there's some form of communication, which is all this gloating, thinking you're going to get away with something. Thinking that you're going to reenact, the whole Homestuck situation with Tracy Butler. And the cruelty of this, of course, these enemies of mine are always cruel, is that it creates a sort of abstract Metal Gear Solid 2 reference, because in Metal Gear Solid 2, the events of Metal Gear Solid 1 are recreated. And so they're getting their jollies from a twisted Metal Gear Solid 2 reference. There's a couple problems for these people. There's more than a couple, but there's a couple that are most pressing. Number one, they have yet to actually look at my work and see what it actually is, like my Spear of St. Michael page. Like a year ago, people were convinced that I have been obsessed with Ren and Stimpy for all this time. No. I had a sort of brand leaning towards the Billy and Mandy side of John's legacy. And I didn't talk about this, but the creative Billy Mandy still ended up in dire straits regardless. I didn't talk about what I liked as people wanted me to, because they would just go and attack all those things. Neil Gaiman got to be a little darling of these sorts of people because I never talked about him. In fact, I criticized his Sandman comic book series for the way it looked. And of course, the point of that was that it was not preparing visually my work about the Underrealm as Neil Gaiman's writing and books prepared. I like the the Sam Keith. Sam Keith was some good stuff. Sam Keith had it, but the other ones didn't. And that's quite ironic because he said he didn't fit. He fit, but there was a mistransmission in the creative legacies created by Protestants. They don't like traditions. So anyway, I promise you that everything here in this last clip, it's a response to these people trying to do their little simulation. You know? And of course, the second problem is that I understand all these things. So, I'm illustrating that. I understand what they're up to. I'm not like them. I don't feel furry sensations without knowing what the sensations I'm feeling actually are. That's what they do. I can tell that these sorts of people get shocked, communally. Based on what I'm letting them know I know. It was fueled by spiritual visions, but not only that. When I was a kid reading stuff like Neil Gaiman, I said, this is the good stuff. I don't want careerism. I don't want, what do they call them? I don't want the things of society. I would rather be a joker. I'd rather make a big joke of society than have anything to do with this. Instead of the sort of things that Neverwhere represented in other works. So, for all this time, people have refused to have a proper discussion with me to find out all these things. And so, as Lackadaisy gets parasitized by furries, there's multiple reasons why things turned out this way. And the biggest one is that people chose to be stupid. They couldn't do this with some alternate artist who is smart, like, I don't know, the creator of the prequel webcomic, Kadia. That's a great example because that's also, a furry webcomic. It's also got animal characters. But they can't do this sort of thing with him because he's too smart. And of course, as everybody knows, girls are stupid. So... And so they are basically experiencing an orgiastic symphony of stupidity in their primal impulses, which is what fuels, furryhood, as opposed to funny animal stuff or being an ancient primal warrior wearing animal skins and decorating your mace or whatever with saber teeth. That's what's cool. Being a furry will never be cool. So, yeah. Homestuck type people are good at exploiting these girl artists who can be called Nepetas. Yeah, like I'll be talking about soon in an article. Nepeta was an archetype. Andrew Hussey did not invent this character. He even collected the names and whatnot from his readers. He didn't invent the concept of being like Nepeta. There were a lot of these kinds of girls, and that's why the character became so incredibly popular, even though how she's depicted in Andrew's work is a sad joke, and also she's not as cute as she should be. But the character resonated so much that she was beloved anyway. And it can be expected that Andrew was directly inspired by Lackadaisy when he was putting this character together and telling her story, since it was such a big webcomic and he was parasitizing me too, and Lackadaisy was the only webcomic I had a good opinion of. So, and the whole concept of crime and cats, I find profound. Yeah. I'll be doing a lot of crime. My new theme song for my messaging campaign, Middle Finger by Bones. I hope it's Bones. Bones are cool, they're in skeletons. Yeah, this was a good message to debut my theme song. Because they thought they were up to something big in their their subhuman parts of the brain. It's kind of a metaphor. I don't believe in that science stuff. Science is fake, except for fifth dimensional science. Fifth dimensional science is real. And I will be making a YouTube video about this email, yeah. Homestuck's War in the Arts. Fable is a leading soldier of this war. The solitary teenager war. Yeah. It was there anything about what happened to me as a teenager. The personal origins of Homestuck. Yeah. When Fable was enjoying Homestuck, and whoever else is associated with her who enjoyed Homestuck, they were enjoying things that would not exist without me. A notable example being the horror terrors. In fact, Andrew didn't depict them at all. The only horror terror in the webcomic is the webcomic itself, because the webcomic itself has 9 letters. And horror terrors all have 9-letter names. The webcomic itself is a monster. And I'm gonna get a little jiffy. Yeah. Skull crawlers merge skulls with crawlers. And the skull part, iconically, as a transcendent concept, belongs to me. And so I can whip the crap out of Homestuck with a tree or whatever. It's a monster that is mine. Now I'm gonna bash it across the head. And it's gonna think better. It's gonna do monstery things. Yeah, that's how it works. Meta-reality monsters, they include people's lives as part of their monstrous, I don't know, nutritional circuits, the veins and stuff. Helps produce the neurology and all. Yeah. Yeah, people complain about AI, but these monsters are gonna be laying claim to, just about anything. Yeah. They're really cool. Convicting a murderer, huh? On a side account. That's a good title. Just before my birthday. So I checked Fable's page on my side account. And not seeing what I desired. Now I'm gonna address an email I sent to Fable. Howdy. That's a nice little perverted community we've got there which has arranged itself around Tracy Butler, just as Homestuck arranged itself around IPGD. Yeah, that was my first thought about Fable. It's all very fatalistic. It's all very fated. Just gotta use my Lord English powers and immediately recognize what's going on here with my smart brain. Yeah, and next I talk about Saint Michael crushing the skull of Satan. Yeah, that's in my webcomic. Why don't people want to read it? Wonder what the motivation is. Then I refer to how Fable is building this new with a U, Lackadaisy community to violate me as they've been doing for months. Wow. Then I tell her to stop doing that. I say that the furry community will be crushed under the lack of action to make a better little community for this webcomic animated film series. Encourage those Homestuck fans to have their big interactions. Yeah. They really want to go in on it like they're going against Caliborn. It's just that they've got their little careers going on, and they recognize that if they act like idiots again, as they were on 4chan and Twitter and all, it's going to be dangerous for their careers. So I'm just going to cause thousands of dollars worth of damage over time until they suddenly realize they are not preserving their careers anymore. Gave a little bit of time for a real response, but didn't come. So yeah. And that's it. First of all, Screw Homestuck fans. Screw their careers. Hope they make you never have a single dollar off of anything. I hope they die alone and penniless for enjoying Homestuck. I hope people eventually track them down and say, "You enjoyed Homestuck," and walk past them on the street. It's simply what they deserve, and Fable has demonstrated that.